Is he out for the season? Pfft, yeah. Did you see that video?
Alex Smith down in Washington. Colt McCoy is your backup.
33 years to the day. What are the odds? Washington Redskins, starting quarterback, live TV tib-fib fracture. Okay, so you guys saw this play. Very sorry to hear about this, Alex Smith, but you went down hard. You had 240 pounds lean down on you and take you down. That's like almost a refrigerator. Maybe a big refrigerator, maybe a medium-sized refrigerator. That's a pretty heavy thing to take you down. You broke your leg, emergency surgery. We have some information, not all the details. We don't have the x-rays, but here's what I think happened. It was his... Take two. God.
I didn't know the head came off.
I didn't either. So we got Bonesy here. He's gonna help us with Alex Smith's injury. So, what happened? You saw the play. He's turning around, avoiding Watt. Watt comes in, and you saw it flapping in the breeze, right? Okay. So, let's just take the moment where he's turned around before he falls. What was the position he was in? He was angled a certain way, center of gravity here, okay? That's his center of inertia. All his weight, gravity's working this way. His leg fixed on the field is here, so that's the point of fixation. Watt's coming in like this, leaning down on him. So what's gonna break? This foot is planted and fixed. That's gravity pushing down. This is him coming in. There's a force there, and that's the point of stress that likely caused and blew his bone and fractured it. And most fractures are implosions anyway, so it basically caused a point of stress and it boom, imploded and fractured his tib-fib. Emergency surgery. What are the different things that could happen in this situation? When you have a bone break, and we happen to have a foot here, it's Bonesy's older brother, it's bigger. And so anyway, this is a left foot, but we know, Alex, you had a right foot injury, right distal tib-fib injury. And again, I'm so sorry to hear this, but we're gonna talk about what's going on. And let's imagine this is his right, but his fracture is somewhere in the distal tib-fib, and it not necessarily mean that there are equally broken at the same level. Sometimes you can have breaks at different level because there are two bones in here, and there is a joint above and below in between those two bones. So the fracture happened, but as you know, we have skin and a lot of tissue around here. There's nerves and vessels going all around here. And if something breaks, like I said, it's an implosion. That means all of a sudden the blood blows out. Everything blows and implodes in. So you get this implosion, you get all this fluid, you're going into this closed space because in the muscles, they're wrapped in fascia, and it's kind of like blowing a balloon up until it gets too tight. So all of this blood going in could cause a compartment syndrome. Now, so aside from a potential nerve injury or vessel injury that can happen with a displaced fracture, that's less likely with low energy trauma, but you know, a refrigerator falling on you is pretty high energy too. But in the grand scheme of things, typically we see those major nerve and vessel injuries with high speed collision injuries, but I have seen it in soccer players with sliding tackles, so it can happen. Now, why did he have emergent surgery? None of that's been released, but he did have emergent surgery. Could it have been for compartment syndrome? Could it have been for an open wound? Could the bone have popped out? We've seen that on some of the videos we've talked about. It broke through the skin. Could it have broken through the skin? We don't know. None of that's released. That's emergency surgery, open injury, high risk for infection. You got to get that to the OR, cleaned up, washed out, and fixed right away or delayed depending on the amount of dirt or debris inside that fracture site. Now, we don't know whether it's open or not. That's just one example of what could happen is if this required emergency surgery. So could it be compartment syndrome? So in compartment syndrome, what happens is you get a blow up of soft tissue such that it's so tight that it causes compression of the nerve and vessels. And that can cause ischemia or neurologic compromise as well. That requires you to release the pressure by incising the fascia and releasing the pressure that happens. So broken distal tib fib needs to be fixed and stabilized. So he's going to go through fixation. Depending on how low the fracture is, hopefully he requires and is able to get an intramedullary rod. Why? Because with an intramedullary rod fixation, you can start weight bearing earlier as opposed to a plate. If it's comminuted, very distal, hopefully it doesn't go into his ankle. There's no shattered fragments and it's a clean break. Let's hope for that. I'm rooting for you, Alex. Clean break that gets a rod and you start weight bearing early. Bone itself takes about 6 to 12 weeks to heal. The tibia on average takes about 8 to 12 weeks to heal. Hopefully it's healing. If he doesn't smoke, have any major medical problems or any other compromise to his blood or bone supply, then he should heal within a reasonable amount of time. Then he'll go through rehab. That means muscle strengthening. If he didn't have, hopefully he didn't have any major muscle, nerve, or vessel injury. Let's presume and hope that he didn't have that. His recovery will be quicker. That means he can start moving quicker, and if he gets a rod, he'll start weight bearing sooner. He can start moving the foot and ankle, get his intrinsics back. He needs to be able to move his foot, toes, and get his motion and stability back on the field. Very vital. He also needs to rebuild his calf, quadriceps, the entire extremity, because he's going to be gingerly walking on it initially, and everything atrophies. He needs to rebuild all of that. And then guess what? You've heard me talk about this before, the mental toughness. Is he out for the season? Yeah. Did you see that video? So aside from this injury, and Alex, I'm hoping for you, you got my prayers out to you to heal. However, bigger picture, this is a complete unexpected shift in the division. And I'm sure Jerry Jones isn't too upset about this, but here's to you, Alex. I hope you heal well, but this makes for some interesting football.